Hello my friends, my name is Catherine. Welcome to my channel. This is where I talk about all of my crafty things. Today is Thursday, November 21st, and it has been just a little bit of time, and I have really been longing to come back and chit chat with you, mainly because I feel like it really lifts my spirits. I mean, we're into a very rainy, California rainy day, drizzly, and the days are shorter, and I tend to kind of draw into myself. So it's nice to have some fun things to talk about. So I hope you're all doing well, and let's jump right in to all the things that I have been doing. So I'm going to start off with my book of days, and I keep this in this beautiful book of days cover that my friend Andrea made for me, and this is what my November looks like so far. October was super busy. I did a ton of stitching in October and started a new costume project as well. So just a lot. We've just been doing a lot. Let's see. Let's do just a little bit of life update. I did do my very first Instagram live, and that was with Mel from December Stitches. I will link her below. It was so much fun. I mean, I got to go on, and it was like doing this kind of thing, but I actually had somebody to ask me questions and bounce things off of, and she is such a great host. If you haven't checked out her channel, her Instagram handle, please go check it out. She and her sister have a fun design company, and they do a lot of really cool Christmas ornament designs and other things. So I would highly recommend checking her out. And if you would like to watch it, it's still on there. It's me just talking about me, which can be good or bad. It just depends on if you need somebody to keep you company. So that I did that, and that was a lot of fun, and just all the other fun things I've been doing. So I am also a docent for a house up here, and I get to dress as Julia Morgan, who was an architect from turn of the century, and she actually is the one that designed and built the house that I am a docent at. And so I dress up as Julia Morgan from time to time and portray her, and I got to do a historical fashion show. I'll run some pictures here, and it was just amazing. All of the costume in that fashion show was actually from the time period, so they're antique pieces that we got to see on bodies moving around, and it's a game changer when you see it actually catching light and moving, and how it moves when people move in it. It was really beautiful. So I got to do that again as Julia Morgan in the costume that I made. So I wasn't in anything really old, just a couple of months old. So, but that was a lot of fun. And then just all the other things that we do around here. We're always running and going and busy. So what did I stitch? I did find time for stitching, and I'm going to start off with my finishes. I've been trying to focus on smaller things right now because I feel that I did so many big starts in September, and I wanted to really zero in and track more of the smaller things that I possibly could finish before Christmas. So the first one I'm going to show you is my very first Satsuma Street, and it's also my very first perforated paper finish. And this is the pattern. It is, I think it's called, Partridge in Pear. And everything that you need is in this kit. You can get it pretty much anywhere online or your local needlework shop. And let me show you my darling little finish. I posted this on Instagram, and I had an effect that I put with it, so it looked really sparkly. It's not that sparkly, but it's sparkly enough. And this is my finish. And I can't tell you how happy this makes me. It's all the happy colors. I love the happy colors anyway, but right now, boy, do I need them. I really am longing for some bright, happy, sparkly, and it ticks all the boxes. And the back is a piece of, so it is some sticky paper that I got at Michael's, and I just cut it out and then stuck it to the back of the perforated paper. It could not have been easier. Cutting it out, you know, it's a little nerve-wracking. I got a little close here and there, but it's going to be fine. It's all good. So everything that you need, except for the backing, comes in that cute thing. And I just leave it up in my sewing room right now, and I might leave it up year-round because I just love it. Okay, I have another finish. It's another Satsuma Street, and I'm going to show this to you. I'm not fully finished with it, and I'm not in love with it because I'm in love with it, but I'm not in love with my finishing technique that I used on it. I feel that I could have gotten a little bit better, so I might unpick it and redo it, but it's from this mini stocking. I did this on a 25 count even weave 1/1, and it made it super teeny tiny, which is darling, but the finishing is a little bit challenging for me. So this is what it ended up looking like, and you can see I got close on this side, and I have a little bit too much room on this side, but isn't it cute? And I haven't fully finished the back yet, so I just have a piece of board, and I used comic board because it is so tiny. I used a comic board that you can get on Amazon, and I'll link any products that I can remember. I will link below for you. I'm not affiliated, and I don't get kickbacks and, you know, all that. I just do it to help you out if you're looking for that. So comic board, it comes, I don't know, 100 sheets for the package, and it's very affordable, and it's a little bit thicker than a cardstock, so it's easy to cut with scissors. It's perfect for an ornament finish. It's going to get put away for most of the year, but that's where I am with it. And I think what I'm going to do is put a sparkly glitter across the top, just something I can glue on, like a pipe cleaner sparkly thing, and a hanger, and call it good. So I love it. It's darling. I think going forward I would like to do more of these, but I'm very tempted to use to make it bigger, because I think I would like a bigger presence. That's what I'm thinking. So that was finish number 2. Finish number 3, I did. So you can tell I'm trying to get my Christmas ornaments ready to gift. So this one is from this book, this Prairie Schooler pamphlet, and it's called Mini Stockings and More. And I did this one. My neighbor has 3 geese that we feed from time to time. I really enjoy them, and if I think about it, or if I can, I will put the video here of the geese swimming in their lake. It's magic. They're magic. So I wanted to do something for her. She's had this year for her and her husband has just been epic. That's all I'm going to say. Epic. He had a double lung transplant, and yes, he is doing well, but it has been a journey for them, and they are so dear to us. We love them so much, and so I wanted to do something for her. And so what did I do with it? Oh, here it is. Okay, so I put this on Instagram too, and I said, should I add the sparkle or should I not? And overwhelmingly people said, don't add the sparkle. It doesn't need the sparkle. I did this one on a 40 count Murky by Picture This Plus, and I don't know, it was hard. It felt like it was tighter than a 40 count for me, but I love it, and this is my finish. Let me see. You know, I'm gonna have to get let me put this up here so you can see my finishing of it. That is it. Isn't it darling? So I changed it up just a little bit. I put a fish at the bottom instead of initials, and I didn't want to put a date on there for the year because, let's face it, this year has been a rough one for some of us, and for them especially. So I thought, let's just do a sweet little finish for her to put on her tree. I know she loves French General fabric. She loves reds. So That's what I did. Now, I didn't put French General on the back. Let me show you the back. So this is my concession to not putting sparkle. I was going to put sparkle across the top, and everybody said, nah, don't. You know, some people are like, yeah, if it lights you up, do it. But I wasn't sure about it. That's why I'm glad I reached out to everybody. But this is what I did for the back. So that's where the sparkle went. And, you know, hey, on a Christmas tree, sometimes they rotate around, and so that's fine to have it be sparkly on the back. That is my finish for that one, and you know, it's all I can do to not keep it because I do love it. And a super easy finish. Again, I used a thicker cardstock for this because it's a little bit bigger. And then the back part here, I did the cardstock, not the cardstock, the comic board. And that's what I did. And I just glued this around, and then I added that back part. Easy peasy and done. Baker's twine. So those were my finishes, and let's move on. I'm going to go on into my whips. Okay, here we go. So this one is what I'm going to focus on for the rest of the month. And probably, I'm going to finish this by the end of the year. There, I've said it. I'm going to do it. This is Feliz Navidad by Blackbird Designs. I started this last year, and I'm doing this on, I'll tell you in a sec. And I want to show you this because I don't want to take this completely off the scroll bar, but I've done all the way down to this line here. So all from here down is what I have left. And let me show you where I am, and I will tell you what I'm working with. So I'm using all of the called for floss, and underwhelming there. And this is where I am on it. And let me tell you what I'm working it on first. So I'm using 36 count toasted almond by hand dyed by Stephanie. And that's where I am on it. And I did change out, you can see from the picture that the Greek key band ghosts on the actual sampler, but I wasn't feeling that. When I picked this up again this year, that's where I had left off, and I just didn't feel like doing a bunch of ghosted stitching. So I changed that out, and let me tell you what I changed that to. I used Weeks Dye Works Gold, and it's already in the sampler. I just pulled it down here as well, and I think it looks just fine, and I love this sampler so much, and I am looking forward to finishing it and hopefully getting it up on, at least put it on a board so I can prop it up and look at it. That's my plan. And this is on one of those Edmunds scroll rods. Very good scroll rods. Okay, let's boogie on. So I also have, this is the start in, when did I start this? October. And this was a fall start for me. I've really wanted to do this for a long time now. It's Autumn Fractor by Plum Street. Isn't it pretty? I've had this in my stash forever, all the called for flosses. And let me show you what I'm working this on. So I'm using the called for floss, and I'm using Tropical Stitches 40 count Optina, and I got these little cards. I just thought they were cute, so I put that on there just to, I don't know, to make me happy. And this is where I am on it. Let me see if I can get it to not look quite as wrinkled. There we are. And I love it. Love, love, love. So this is Autumn Fractor. I could continue working on this, but I feel like right now my focus is really, I'm really feeling Christmas. So I feel like I really want to focus on all my Christmas stitching right now, but you never know. I could pick this up again. I've made a couple mistakes here and there, but overall I really love the colors, and I really love it on this kind of greigey fabric. The Tropical Stitches Optina is absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to finish this. Tempted to do, I I'm tempted to do a drum finish, but let's just get it done and then we'll decide after it sits in my tub for a while what I want to do with it. But love, 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 love it. So that is whip number 1. Let's get on with, you know, I'm going to show you as they pop up in my pile. This was another start. This was a start in for my birthday start. And this is Frances Eden. And this was something I saw my friend Sally, the Tudor House Stitcher, had a finish of it. And I kind of threw my stuff across the room, ran to the computer and ordered it. And this you can get on 1884 Stitchery is where I got that. And I got it as a PDF download, so you can see my printer was not really bright, but if you want to see pretty pictures of it, please go to Sally, the Tudor House Stitcher's Instagram feed, and you can see her finish. It's stunning. I love everything about this. I love the houses and how unusual that house is. I love all of the angels. I love the Adam and Eve. I love the verse, just everything. Now, I am not going to be doing all of that border. Most of the people that I see finish this don't do that. It takes, well, a lot more fabric. And it also is a lot of lazy daisy stitching to make all of that. And I just, you know, I just don't feel like it. So I think it's pretty as it is. So I'll just be doing the actual sampler part. And let me show you where I am on it. I'm using a piece of platinum, and I got a big enough piece of platinum to do the whole border, and then I decided not to do that. So it's a bed sheet. Platinum is a nice neutral, and I'm using the Victoria Clayton silks, and they are perfect on a 40 count platinum. It's just beautiful. So my method that I'm going to do right now is I want to be able to cut my linen. So I'm going to be traveling upwards, and I'm going to be cutting off the linen that way first, and then I'll start to travel across. And that's where it is. Isn't it pretty? I have more fill in to do on this, and this is a great zoom kind of thing because you can outline, and there's so much fill-in in the houses that it's mindless. And that's where I am on that. My next one here, Scarlet House. I had like a Scarlet House frenzy in September. I could not get enough Scarlet House stitching. So this is a Dutch sampler by Cece Smit or Chessie Smit. I'm not sure how you pronounce. I'm using all of the called for flosses. I'm going to pull it up just to make sure. I worked on it in September, and then I kind of put it down, and I hadn't worked on it again. And yes, it looks like called for, but there are some subs here. So like the red, instead of 3777, I subbed out City Needleworks. It's a silk, City Needleworks. And let me show you where I am on this. And this was my magical, I got the border done the border met up first try, and I did the border in like 2 days of stitching up here for an hour or so. And so that was nice when that happens. And I did that beautiful motif of the flowers, the chicken. And so far, the substitution is the red. I like a lot of red, like really bright reds, even though this one, it's on the orangey side for me, which is, it's great. I need to show a little restraint now and then. What am I doing this on? This one is Tropical Stitches, yes, Optina. So I'm using a 40 count Optina for this as well, which, I mean, the picture shows it a little bit warmer, and I went with something that's more on the gray side. Beautiful modeling, and just loving this one. I really love it. All right, let's show you Cathcart. This is by Shakespeare's Peddler. I'm not sure how much I've shown you on this. This was a sampler September start. I've had it in my stash for a couple of years, and I love it, love it, love it. And so I got all the DMC for it, and that's what I'm stitching it in. And I love the colors, really happy colors. And let me show you and I'm doing this on a piece of 40 count Mozart by Color and Cotton. It's very, very lightly modeled, and it's a nice warm color. I guess I should be backing up for you to see the true colors. I do have my lights on here to give me more light because it's so dark outside. And that's where I am on it. Not a ton of work, and I actually haven't touched it since since September, I think. I worked on it in September and then I put it down. I started a lot of things in September and then I tucked them up and put them away. I just wanted to get a start on this, and I'm very happy with the colors. The chart is gorgeous, and I look forward to working on that in 2025. So this one is, oh, this is another one that I was dying to start. Sorry about that. Here I am. So it's the 7 Sheep Sampler, and again, this is Scarlet House. Let me see if I can get it. No reflection. Let me tilt it a little bit. It's a very dark photo. And I went back and forth with which fabric to use. Ultimately, I dug through my stash and I had a piece of gold. It is a 40 count lakeside linen in the color Vintage Meadow Rue. It's beautiful. So it's dark, not too dark. I had a huge fat half of it, and so I gave it a start. And that's where I got so far. So I started in September, and then I kind of put it aside, and then I picked it up again a couple of days ago, and I finished the lady, and I put in part of the tree. Now, I made a little bit of changes to her. I gave her a little bit more decoration on her dress in terms of a belt higher under, high on the waist, like you would see in Jane Austen. And I gave her bows on her hat. And I just did lazy daisies until I liked it. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sheep down. 4 down, 3 to go. And I adore it. So as you can see, I'm traveling across the bottom, and then I will work up the sides and get those vases. I don't know if you can even see what I'm showing you. Here I am, and I'm using the silks. I got this kitted at the attic, and it's a combination of silks and overdyes. So, and then I'm making small adjustments here and there. You can see the leaves on the tree don't really stand out that much, but I'm okay with it there. I think it's supposed to be for the man's breeches, which I didn't care for his breeches to be ghosting, so I'm going to be using a Verissois. I've got 2543 Soie d'Agé, and that's going to look great for his breeches. It's kind of a buff color. So it lives in there. I love it. Okay, almost there. I'm clicking along here. So this next one I started last year thinking, oh, this will be fast, and it is little. It shouldn't take that long. It's by La Di Da, Christmas Sampler. I think I saw Brenda and Laura finished it, and I had to shoom over to get it. And I'm using, let me tell you, I'm using DMC. I'm using DMC. All of it is DMC, whatever the DMC equivalent called for. And I was working on this last night, and I wadded it up and sorry. So this is a piece of Weeks Dye Works parchment, 36 count, and that's where I am on it. And I actually kind of almost got one side done the same way. There's one little, I did an away knot, so there's a little dangling stuff there. But you know, I don't know if you other floss tubers do that, where sometimes you don't want to show your project until you've done balanced on each side. I'm trying to focus on doing that, but then I get to that point where I'm like, I'm never going to be showing things because I just can't continually balance everything. But I love it when I see that. I love the symmetry of it. Yes, there's a couple mistakes. It's okay. I think I'm going to make a little pillow out of this. So I'm really enjoying that one. It is my evening stitch now. And I've been finding, oh, and I wanted to say that Satsuma Street that I was telling, that I showed you my finish, I really like perforated paper. I really like working on it when I have low light. And you know, you have to use 2 strands of floss, which I'm okay with that. You know, at first I was like, but I really like it. I like the way it looks, and it was very easy to start and stop and hold it in the hand and work on it. So I really can't say enough good things about that perforated paper. All right, this next one is the Smith sampler, and I don't have my chart because I have it stored away. You're not going to be able to see a lot because, again, I'm sorry, I have it rolled up on my scroll frame, but I'm going to show it to you. I'm doing this on a piece of 40 count Poetic Pony Boy by Those Missing Stitches, and this is where I am on it. I've completed the bottom. I'll put a picture here of the finished, what the finished product will look like. Pointing, so I'll know in editing, Catherine will know to put a picture here. So you'll see what I've completed so far, and I'm working my way up. And I did change that basket. Instead of putting the word Smith, the name Smith, I just made it more like that. So I just took the motifs from the side, the triangles, and I plugged them in. Just however, I just kind of randomly put them in, the colors that I liked. And this is where I am on it. So I got all the way. I know my border will meet up because I checked it out, and I know that that's all going to be ready to go. So it's just a matter of finishing the top. So my plan is to finish the top so that the swan is the last thing to stitch. So I'm doing this side, and I'll work around, do the border, do this side, and then I'll do the swan. So I'm hoping sometime in January or February that I will have a finish on this. And I'm using the Victoria Clayton Silks. Love it. I really love it. No substitutions, just the way it is. And let me pull back so you can kind of see the modeling on this fabric. It's so pretty. And you know, I have other Poetic Pony Boy, and this is probably a lighter version of it. Just the way the dye sometimes comes out a little bit different with different, you know, batches, maybe to some extent. The formula is there, so the hue is the same. And yes, so I'm enjoying that one. Now this next one was a start. Make sure I'm showing you the right thing. Oh, yeah, this was a start. I didn't show it last time. And I started this in September. And again, Scarlet House. I'm stitching all the Scarlet Houses here, or starting all the Scarlet House. This is one I've wanted forever to start, and this is Martha Pudsey, another Adam and Eve sampler. I love the Adam and Eve motif. The angels, and again, I just love this border. It looks like lollipops. A lot of people have finished this, and sometimes I would see it started and worked on and finished, and then I would lose my mojo on it, thinking, oh, everybody's already done it. But it's been a while since I've seen somebody do a working on it, so I feel that I'm not tired of it at all. And again, I love it. It's so, so pretty. I'm doing this on a piece of 40 count flax. Okay, it's just Weigart flax, and I'm using called for NPI. I got this kitted at, I got this silks at Needle in a Haystack in Alameda, California. And you know what I did is I wanted to show you this because I got these cards at Hobby Lobby, and they had just kind of needlework motif on them, the bee and the hive with the, looks like a ball of yarn. And then I made them into floss drops. So it was maybe less than $3 for, again, 52 cards. So it's an inexpensive way to make floss drops, and they're not terribly big. So, and they're nice and smooth. And anyway, so that's where that is. And let me show you. There's dangling threads here because I kind of paused, and that's where I am on it. So the 40 count flax looks a lot like the picture to me, which is why I chose it. The NPI doesn't have variegation, so again, it makes it look like a fresh sampler when all is said and done. And those lollipop flowers, I just love it. So I got the bottom part done. I got one of the little sheep done, and that's where I am on it. And so I'm going to kind of ping pong back and forth until I get up to the top. And that's the way I'm going to do this border. I think that's what I'm going to do. Rather than go all the way around with the border, I tend to get bored and I tend to make mistakes when I try to push through and do a border first that's like this. So sometimes it works for me to do the bones of the border, but this one I decided that I'm just going to ping pong around. And that's where it is. Love, love, love it. And this one lives in a bag that my friend Andrea made me with that French General fabric. Isn't that pretty? You can find Andrea on Instagram. She is Fillin69, and she sells her bags, and she does amazing, what are those called? Project folders, where it's a folder and it's velcroed or magnet closed. I can't remember which one she does. But okay, last but not least. So this one, sorry about that, is something I got this year at Sampler Symposium. It was last year, but it came out this year, so you can get it too. It's Sarah Milthorpe by Hands Across the Sea. And a lot of people are doing this right now for good reason. Just beautiful. Got it kitted up at the attic with all of the NPI silks. And this is my progress. I'm using a 40 count dirty teacup. Again, it's on a scroll rod. I didn't want to undo it, but you'll see where I am on it. And the big house is what I'm working on, filling in that house. And I'm really loving this too. Let me pull back so you can see. It's got a nice warmth to it. And I'll pull it up again. And that is kind of, well, that is certainly all of my whips right now. I'm going to clean up a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you a couple previous Christmas finishes, because that's what I'm all into right now. And a little, well, some haul, but mostly fabric. So if you're curious about how a fabric looks with other fabrics, stick around. Okay, I am back. So I have a couple finishes from past Christmas finishes that I have not fully finished yet, but I'm going to talk about that. So this is one that I did on a piece of 32 count, which I don't do anymore. And I used 2 strands of floss. This is a Prairie Schooler. I didn't pull any of the charts, but you can find them easily. This one is a Christmas stocking. I got a Christmas Prairie Schooler, the Santa with the stocking, and he's got his sewing machine there. I did this, I think, 2 years ago, and I just never put it into an ornament, but it's definitely destined for that this year, just to make a flat ornament finish on it. and it's on the bigger side because it's on a 32 count, and the 2 strands of floss, I actually like it. I think it's cool to be that big. So I'm looking forward to having that as a finish. All the called for DMC, and this is a 32 count Picture This Plus Heartland. That's why it's got so much modeling to it. So that was one of my finishes. This is another Prairie Schooler, and this was an interesting experiment for me. So this is on a piece of Aida that I dyed myself, and this was probably, oh gosh, I want to say I started this 5 years ago. I think I finished it last year, and it was to see if I could stitch in hand. That was my plan, to stitch this in hand, but I used an 18 count Aida, and I overdyed it with a pearl gray, which is great. It kind of gives it that cloudy effect, but then I used 2 strands of floss, which it looks really good, but there was no way I could stitch in hand using 2 strands of floss on this tight of a finish. So what I did is I just finished, this is called Songs of the Season by Prairie Schooler. I've showed this before, and I put it all together, and I wanted to show you so I could tell you what my plans are for this. They sell these books, I know you've seen them before, that are not actually books. They're magnetically closed boxes that have a book look to it, and I have a bunch of old music books that I found at a thrift store, and I thought I'll cut that up, old Christmas songs, and I'll Mod Podge it onto the outside of that box and decorate it, and then this I will put on make a flat, just a flat finish with it, and magnetically attach it to the box so that it can prop up and be displayed on like this Christmas music box. That's my plan. Hopefully I'll get to that. There's a lot of Mod Podging to be done, so we'll see if I actually follow through and finish. But that's my plan with it. And then I can keep my hand-worked Christmas ornaments, everything that I stitch myself, in that box for the next year. So that is where I am. And I used called for flosses, and I changed it up here and there just to kind of reflect people in my life, my mom and some friends. And that's where it is. I'll tell you, I'm not really looking forward to getting the edges straight on it and the margins straight with the straight finish, but it'll work. What did I put at the bottom? Oh, I finished it in 2021, so it's been floating around in my finish. It's time to fully finish it and get it up and enjoy it. So that was my second one I wanted to show you. One more I'm going to show you. This is a Blackbird design, and there's probably more I'm going to be doing to this. So this is Christmas Garden, and I changed it. I changed the words because rather than leave the words off, I wanted to be able to have this up year round, and rather than be looking at something that said Christmas Garden in our family room year round, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. But I decided to change it to reflect my father's heritage, which is Swedish. So it says Gud med oss, which is God with us. And it's very bold, which is not a bad thing. I've seen lots of different takes on Christmas Garden. The original colors are very soft and muted, which are beautiful. I'm trying to remember what I did this on. Just a minute. My dog's outside. Just a minute, Gracie. I'm fairly certain this is a 36 count, and I'm fairly certain it's a Lakeside linen. Most likely vintage pearled barley was my go-to back then, when you could get it pretty easily. So, I mean, I put my dad's initials on there, and my plans are to put his parents and some dates on there too. And I put my initials down there too. So, and then the plan is to put it on a foam core. I want to do that this year. So I want to just lace it up and be able to at least display it temporarily until I get my frame figured out. I have many frames that I've collected, and it's just a matter of cutting them down and plopping it in. I say that like it's so easy. My husband has to help me with the cutting of the, I get a little nervous with the miter saw, but he's very good at it. Anyway, I just thought I would show it to you. And I would love to tell you what I used. I know that that is most likely Schoolhouse Red. It's silks, and the green is Collard Greens, and this is Gloriana. And the brown, I think, is Woolly Mammoth. I could be wrong about that. And the gold was Heritage Gold. And there were things that, oh, and I added these hearts with the crowns at the bottom. I just found that motif in a book, and I made it up, I can't remember. And then I just liked that to kind of finish it off, because it wasn't, you know, clearly that wasn't going to go all the way across. Now, charting the G and the O, that took a little bit of thinking. I just got out my, what's it called? The paper that has the lines on it, graph paper, and I just played around until I came up with something that looked kind of like the Christmas garden fonts. That's where I am. That's where that is. So those were some previous finishes I thought I would love to share with you. So now I'm inspired to hopefully fully finish those. Okay, let's show you just a little bit of haul. So I mostly have some fabric, but I also have a couple of charts. First, I was going to start something for Black Sampler November, and I went on to Mama Loves You GB and downloaded this. I've always wanted to do it, Be Not a Dunce. I just think it's simple, beautiful, pretty, and I like the strive to learn. Something to put up on a wall and people get close to it and actually see Be Not a Dunce, and it's a chuckle for me. So I haven't started it, but it's on my to-do list, and I wanted to share that. This I found in the thrift store, which I think is, I've been really lucky with some of my thrift store finds. Oh, let me show you the other one. I'll show you this first. So this is Cricket Collection and Gentle Harvest. I just really liked the cute pumpkins. I mean, just to even do a pumpkin as a small, really cute. And I really liked the sampler-esque, the sampler on the side too. So that was a fun find. This I bought, I had to get this. So this is animal crackers, and we're all kind of going crazy for the animal crackers. I have yet to stitch one yet, but I couldn't resist one. Theodore, look at that little ginger. Isn't he cute? My son has a ginger cat named Billy, who is a terror. He's terrible. If I can put a picture of him, I will. He's darling, but he gets into all kinds of trouble. So I couldn't resist Theodore, and I got some of the called for floss, the stuff that's variegated, that I would like to use for him. And I don't know when I'll start, but he's on the menu. Let me show you, 1 second here. Don't be jealous. Well, be jealous. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist showing you this. I was perusing around in the thrift store, as I do, digging through crates and bins. And this, I saw it from the back and went, that looks like a Blackbird design. Look what I found for 50 cents. I know, some people are probably screaming right now. This is America by Blackbird Designs. It was one of the Blackbird design charts that I've been eyeing for many years, thinking, oh, I really love that one. I'll probably never stitch it. I'll just never get lucky enough to find it. And here it is. dropped into my hot little hands. So this I would really like, I'm toying with the idea, you can let me know if it's a bad idea in your opinion, of using like a sky blue mottled fabric so that it looks like it's in, you know, waving in the sky, and then everything else called for. But I don't know. I have to get the flosses first and then play around with it. So yeah, lucky. You know, hey, check those thrift stores. Those resale shops. You never know. You just never know. I've found some really cool things. Speaking of which, I found this fabric. This is an R&R Irish cream. I think it was $2. It's a 35 count, and I got a big, well, it's probably 18 by 27. It's just plain. It's very stiff, but that's a nice color. Let me pull up my board so I can show you some of these fabrics that I got. So it's a nice warm neutral. It's very, this is this stocking is the Carriage House stocking I did, sampler stocking I did on Weeks Dye Works parchment. This is very close to parchment. So that was a lucky find. And now I'm going to show you the fabric that I have purchased to have in my stash. And I did do a little bit of reorganization for my fabrics because I've been getting a lot more 40 count. Originally my sweet spot was 36, and now I'm really into the 40 count and the way the floss looks on it. So I've been reorganizing some of my fabrics, and I'll put a picture here. So I think Karen Lynch was talking about how she does it, where she rolls it rather than folds it. And you can see, I mean, this has been folded forever, and even though it may not be in the sunlight, it feels like those creases are hard to get out, and they can discolor. This is that piece of R&R that I was just showing you. So I'm all into rolling, and I do that too, not for my quilting fabric, I still fold that, but for anything that I make a costume out of, I roll that, especially the silks. I don't want to fold that. If it's a remnant, doesn't really matter, but you know, for something I'm going to make some big project out of, it gets rolled because that kind of stuff happens with it. So that's what I did, is I started to go through my 40 count and roll it, press it and roll it up and tie it up with a pretty ribbon. And I put it in one of those under the bed boxes. And so it will not have any light, and everything will stay clean and dust free and stay rolled up. So that's the plan. And so once I get done showing you all this, that's probably where all these are going to go. So this is a piece of Cedar River Linen and Designs. She had some new colors come out, and I have some other fabrics of hers, but this was something that I could not resist. It's called Pyrite, and I'll show you different. I'll show you these first, and then I'll show you them together with a white background. So this is Pyrite. It's got a very nice modeling. It's pretty subtle, but it's there. It's warm, but it's not like in your face. It's really beautiful. Let me get a little bit closer for you. And that is Pyrite. I got a 40 count, just that quarter. And then I have a piece of, what is this? Oh, this was another thrift store find. And it was in, I can't remember, it was in a chart package. So it was like a chart, and then this was the fabric in with it. And I was like, well, I wonder what this fabric is. And it said that it had called for Lakeside Linen Maritime White. And I've used Maritime White before. I don't know if this is Lakeside Linen, but it could be. It feels thinner than a Lakeside, but it might be an old piece of Lakeside. So I found that. It's a nice cream. Nothing to get all excited about, but it's pretty. And then this is a couple from Those Missing Stitches. I was at the group that I belong to in Sacramento is called For the Love of Stitches. And Lynn, who is Those Missing Stitches, and she also has a YouTube video where she shares her fabulous projects. She dyes linen, and she brings, sometimes she will bring her linen and sell us her linen. So whenever she's there, I shoom over to where her linen is and I grab some 40 counts. So I lucked out on Wonderful Walter. I don't really want to take it out yet of the fabric, of the plastic. That's a pretty grayish. It kind of has that Optina look, and you can see, I'll show it with the other fabrics in a sec. And then this one's called Notable Nick. And this is a lighter version to me of Pony Boy. Very pretty modeling. She does such a wonderful job dyeing and packaging and her customer service. And then this last piece, I happened to, you got to be quick on 1, 2, 3 stitch, and they had sent me a notification saying that, oh, this fabric's in Lakeside Linen, Maple Sugar. Now it's not vintage, so it doesn't have modeling. It has a little bit, just a tiny, just a breath, just a teeny. So I got a fat half of it because frankly they had it. So, and it looks like maple syrup and, you know, maple sugar, and it does kind of have this Notable Nick feel. It's a little warmer, and obviously this has more modeling, but I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but you know, you just never know. And it's nice and thick. That's why I don't think that other one that I showed you that I think is, it's a lot thinner, that Maritime White that I showed you. This is a lot thicker, to give you a better idea. Irish cream, maple sugar, pyrite, love this one, Notable Nick, love it. Wonderful Walter, and this is that, what we think could be Maritime White, but I don't think it is now. It's kind of yellowy. Into the stash they will go. Okay, so I think that's all I have to share where it comes to that kind of thing. I'm going to show you just a little bit. I'm going to pause here for a second. I'm going to talk a little bit about my costume project that I'm working on. I'll be right back. All right, I'm just going to talk just a little bit of historical costume. So I was talking about the docent work that I'm doing and the volunteer work that I do based around building characters and things like that. And I've always been really intrigued with doing history, like reenactment. I'm not quite there, but it's intriguing to me. And so one of the things that I'm starting to track more into is that turn of the century wear. So I wanted to make what is known in some circles as a lingerie dress, and I'm going to talk about that. I'll show a couple of pictures here. So a lingerie dress would be turn of the century, so 1900, maybe 1906, maybe up to 1910, and it's what you think about when you think of like a Victorian wedding dress, you know, with all of the lace insertion, big hats, lawn dresses. They call them tea dresses, they call them lawn gowns, and I think they're called lawn because they're made of lawn, not because you walk on the lawn with them, but you can walk on the lawn with them too. So I decided to start with the blouse, and I found this pattern by Folkwear. I thought, well, this is a good jumping off point. I've never done a blouse like this before, so I got this pattern. I found it on Etsy, I think. You can see it's pretty beat up, but hey, you know, I just needed to trace what was, I never cut my patterns, my historical patterns. I put on like a really thin fusible that's not, an interfacing that is not fusible, very thin, and that's how I trace. I'll trace the pattern onto that, and then because there's different lines and I don't want to cut a different size, I want to have all the sizes in case I need to size up or size down after I do the initial mock-up. So anyway, that was my jumping off point. So I thought, well, I'll have some fun with it. And I watched Bernadette Banner has a whole series on her. She has a Mary Poppins dress that she did, but it's historically accurate. I'll link it below. It's a lot of fun to watch. And so she talks a lot about lace insertion, and I've done little bits of it, but so here's what I've got so far. I'm going to show you. So I did the yoke, and I just kind of pleated the material, and I'm using cotton batiste, so it's very, very light. And I pleated it and stitched down the pleats, and then I played around with my lace insertion, so it's going to go like that. And so that was an adventure for me, learning how to do that lace insertion. It's not hard, it's super easy, but in heirloom sewing techniques, these are things that are kind of lost to us unless you pull it out and play with it. There's so many tutorials on how to do that kind of thing. So I had fun with that. Is going to be the top, the yoke, and then this is a sleeve, and I did 2 sleeves. Clearly I'm not done. I haven't pleated them or, you know, gathered. So that will be the side of the sleeve. That's the inside of the sleeve. And you can see how I mean, first of all, the fabric is extremely thin, and then you have all this lace. So how do you keep the modesty part of it? Well, pretty much you're wearing an entire dress underneath this. So I'll have my corset, I'll have a corset cover, and a full petticoat, and I might even do like a shift underneath even. So you're completely covered underneath with layers and pantaloons and all of that. So, and then I might do a belt. So we'll see. Anyway, so that is the sleeve, and then this is not fully, well, I just haven't, I've been wanting to stitch on my cross stitch. I have not wanted to finish this yet, but I wanted to show you. So this is the bodice underneath the yoke. I guess it doesn't need that big red thread on it. And that's what I did for that. So that was fun to figure out how to do that much. And people just put all kinds of, you can really layer lots of different laces. So this will gather at the top, and it will gather into a waistband. And so that will go underneath and do that kind of deal. Anyway, that's where I am on that. And I just wanted to kind of share that with you because there's other costumey things that I'll be doing in the future, and I wanted to pull you along with me if you're interested in going. Okay, I think that's all. Let me look at my notes here. I do have some Flosstubers to recommend, and I'll link these guys below. Oh, first of all, Jingle Ball is coming. I was going to have to do another Christmas party where I was at the house dressed as Julia Morgan, but that got canceled and moved to a different day. So now I'm available to do Jingle Ball, and I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, but it's fun to get a $10 ticket and to go, you know, drop into some rooms here and there is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to be doing Jingle Ball. And Thanksgiving is next week. Happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate that in the United States and elsewhere. So I'm just letting you know that I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for this community, and I'm thankful for the time you spend with me and any comments you choose to leave. I'm really grateful for that. So, Flosstubers, I am really into thread gremlins. I love them. They're so much fun. So it's Amy, I want to get it right, Carolyn and Elizabeth. I think I got Carolyn. I think that's it. And they have a lot of fun, and they have beautiful stitching. I cannot recommend them highly enough. They're a lot of fun to watch, and yeah, beautiful stitching and fun. What more could you want? And then Heidi, Whips and Kits. Where have I been? I thought I was a subscriber to her, and I heard Kim, Contented Needleworker, talk about her, and I thought, you know, need to go see what she's showing. And I went over there, and I had not been a subscriber. Maybe I was, and it unsubscribed me. Anyway, Heidi from Whips and Kits is fantastic. She's a lot of fun, and she has beautiful projects. Again, it's what I love about Flosstube. So I'm going to talk a little bit too about a podcast that I've been into. Sometimes if I'm just in the mood to listen to somebody and I don't want to have my attention, especially if I'm sewing on the costume stuff, it's hard for me to look up all the time for Flosstube. So I've been really into listening to things that inspire me. And I love it when people talk about things from a spiritual perspective. So I've been listening to a podcast called Soul Boom, and I'll link that below. It's if you're in the United States, you watched The Office, you would know the actor that played Dwight, and he's very into his religion, which is called Baha'i. I'm not even sure what it's all about, but it's basically everybody has a different way sometimes to get to God. But he pulls people into his podcast from all across the spectrum and tells inspiring stories. And so I really urge you to check it out. If you're looking for somebody to kind of perk you up a little bit, or to, you just want to listen, you want to do a little bit of critical thinking and maybe apply some of it to your life, I highly recommend Soul Boom. It's very thought-provoking, and there are moments of levity. There's some fun things in it that make you laugh. He's pretty funny, but that's not what it's about. It's really about spirituality and diving into it from a different, maybe a perspective that you weren't thinking made sense to you. So those are my recommendations for videos. And I think that's going to wrap me up today. So I just want to say thanks again for hanging out with me, and wishing you all the best right now. And hopefully I'll be back in December. And if not, then happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and all the other things you celebrate. I love you all. Bye-bye.